Forget everything you know about the stock market, because the biggest wealth transfer in history is happening right now, and most people don't even see it coming. 3 companies you use every single day are racing to the New York Stock Exchange, and their combined value is more than the entire economy of most countries. I'm talking about a $3 trillion prize pool that could make early investors richer than anything we've seen since the dot-com boom. But here's the twist, one of them might actually be about to delay. Welcome back. Today we're diving into the biggest financial story of 2026. The AI IPO wave. Anthropic made the first move on June 1st, filing a confidential S-1 with the SEC. 1 week later, OpenAI followed suit. And not to be outdone, SpaceX, Elon Musk's rocket and AI company, also threw its hat in the ring. We're looking at $3 trillion companies trying to go public in the same year. But it's not going exactly as planned. Let's start with Anthropic. On June 1, 2026, Anthropic confidentially filed for an IPO, becoming the first major AI company to take the plunge. Founded by former OpenAI employees Dario and Daniela Amade, Anthropic has been on an absolute rocket ship. Their Claude AI model has become the go-to for enterprise customers who want safety, reliability, and transparency. They raised an astonishing $65 billion in their last funding round, valuing the company at over $1 trillion. Their revenue projections for 2026? $15.6 billion. That's not just growth, that's hockey stick exponential. And they made sure to file their paperwork before OpenAI, giving them first-mover advantage in the public markets. Then came the big one. On June 8, OpenAI confidentially filed for its own IPO, just 1 week after Anthropic. OpenAI has raised over $122 billion in cumulative funding at a valuation of $852 billion. But here's where it gets interesting. OpenAI's advisors presented the company with a choice: go public in late 2026 at a $1 trillion valuation, or wait until 2027 to potentially hit a much higher number. The New York Times reported that OpenAI is now leaning toward delaying until 2027, especially after SpaceX's rocky stock market debut in June. When OpenAI's possible delay was reported, AI and chip stocks slid instantly. The market is that sensitive to anything these companies do. SpaceX actually beat both of them to market, debuting on June 12, 2026, in what was called the biggest IPO in history. But the debut was messy, the stock opened strong but has been volatile ever since. Still, SpaceX's Starlink division alone is now generating massive revenue, and their AI-driven rocket landing systems are the most advanced in the world. When you add up the valuations, Anthropic at over $1 trillion, OpenAI at nearly $1 trillion, and SpaceX at over $1.7 trillion, you're looking at nearly $3 trillion in AI and tech companies trying to go public simultaneously. That's more than the GDP of Canada, South Korea, or Australia. The scale is genuinely unprecedented. But it's not just the big three. Databricks is sitting at a valuation of $134 billion and is expected to follow soon. Scale AI has raised over $1.6 billion and is prepping for its own public debut. Cohere, Mistral, and Figure AI are all in the pipeline. The global venture funding environment has gone absolutely nuclear. In the first half of 2026 alone, startups raised a record $510 billion, that's more than all of 2025. OpenAI and Anthropic alone account for $242 billion of that total, about 80% of the entire market. We are watching the creation of a brand new asset class right before our eyes. So what does this mean for regular people? First, if you've been waiting for a way to invest in AI directly, this is your chance. These IPOs will be the most oversubscribed in history, so getting shares won't be easy. Your brokerage might get a tiny allocation, and prices could double on day one. Second, the OpenAI delay tells us something important. These companies know they only get one shot at their public debut, and they want to get it exactly right. Third, we're seeing a pattern that mirrors the early internet days. The companies that went public during the dot-com boom created millionaires overnight. But they also crashed hard. The winners in AI will be the ones with real revenue, not just hype. Subscribe for more breakdowns like this one. The AI IPO wave of 2026 is rewriting the rules of Wall Street. Whether you're an investor, a tech worker, or just someone who uses ChatGPT or Claude, what happens in the next 6 months will shape the tech landscape for the next decade. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Drop a comment, which AI company would you invest in? I'll catch you in the next one.